What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we're bringing back a classic. It's been a hot second, but we're bringing back just the second to last week of basically the restriction list. So pretty good to see where the meta is kind of shaping up and what decks are changing up. I'm gonna bring this back weekly. I really love this series, so it kind of gives you guys a good feel on what the meta is like. So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. So guys, first off, let's take a look. The tier list is telling us that Omnimon and Diaboromon have reached the 10+ win spot. Diaboromon has been creeping up, and it's kind of funny to see these two be standing on the top between each other. They are the OG haters. They are OG villains and hero. Like, this is cool. Like, when you see this classic, when you see them both getting those wins they deserve and being standing on top, I'm really happy to see. But we do have Galaxy coming up. We have Gila Birds, then Royal Knight. Genkumon or slash Jessamon deck is kind of creeping up. It's been doing quite well in JP, and that's where most of the wins have been coming from. It hasn't been doing well over here. I don't think a lot of players are interested in it, but again, it could just be a, do X once versus the X3, try to do it 3 times in a row. Adventure is still doing extremely well in JP. This is where most of the tops come from, but then we do have Red Purple Imperial Dramon, a Battle Core coming up. We do have Sakuya Mon still getting some wins here and there. Megidramon surprisingly isn't getting as high, but again, a lot of people shifted over to the Gila Birds at this point in the meta, and it's showing. Then you have Galacticmon still doing extremely well, and then you have Machine Dramon. You have the Garuru Alter S deck. All 4 sneaking up some wins too in JP a lot. This was a lot of JP doing. We've only had like 1 top in English. Then we do have Galamon sneaking up some tops as well. Levia doing some snap, crunch, big crocodile alligator things. Then you have Red Blue Imperial Dramon. Hunters are doing extremely well with the rest of Dramon. The Purple Black Dex Daruga deck is doing extremely well as well, getting some wins in at least 2. Raigumon getting some 2. Kazuchimon getting 2. Then the CS deck still sneaking in some wins as well, and probably a lot of support coming their way is going to be great. Examon getting 1 win. Dark Knightmon getting a win, which again, a lot of players don't know how well this deck can do, and it seems like it's sneaking in some wins. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a shift in the meta for it, because again, Dark Knightmon's actually a pretty good deck. Alter S version, which I could have just probably just lumped them together, and it's just Omnimon.deck, but one just focuses on getting to Alter S and OT and K with Alter S. The other one focuses on Omnimon itself. You have 1 win from Ancient Greymon. You have 1 win from Lord Nightmon. That is the dog engine. Then you have Beelzemon taking some wins. Bloomlord taking a win. You have, Numemon peering up, Mother Eaters, Shine Greymon, Puppets, Balphamon getting some sneaky wins, Satcon showing up. God, I know somebody's going to be super happy for Satcon. Then you have Wind Guardians, Green Ranger, which is Leopardmon X and doing its shenanigans, Darugamon, which is the black base, Crossheart, even just Rapidmon appearing, because again, a lot of players written this deck off, and seeing a 1 win is not bad. Then you have the more recent Hunter S deck that's kind of like a fusion of all the hero cards. Then you have Gate of the Deadly Sins, the 7 Great Demon Lords like Lucamon and stuff. Then you do have Metal Greymon. So just taking a look here, not terrible. So yeah. Well, Blue Flare. So yeah, we had some great spreads this week. So let's take a look at what we got going on. Diaboromon is one of those decks that a lot of players are still kind of trying to get around. Me talking with a lot of the Diaboromon stands that are dedicated in it, definitely say 4 of EX6 is the way to go. And it's just that good of a card. Rada going down to 1 is making a lot of sense for a lot of players. They just don't value it higher than that. A lot of them are like, I either don't want it or I don't need it. The problem comes down to the card's existence is, yes, it's a great mem setter, but the biggest issue comes down to is that above 2, you're not going to use much often. Because again, you have blockers, and innately with Diaboromon, being able to redirect stuff is okay, but those things do matter at the end of the day, and Errata is pretty decent for it. But again, it's not one of those cards that you want to see multiple in your hands. This is the Errata you want to have on board at all times is BT-5, just because of how good it is. So, but again, also having access to this Armageddonmon that shuts off all level 7s do not activate their when Digivolving, so any ace they're trying to throw at you is just a laughing stock. Even just having this new Armageddon just for its rush blocker reboot, you know, deleting up to a 15 play cost worth the opponent's Digimon, and then your turn, this Digimon also attacks your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. So Armageddonmon is just really good in general, but it kind of seems like the census is this Diaboromon from EX6 is a 4 of in the list. But then again, it's up to you how you want to go. Black scrambles plus defenses is up to you. Now, here's the Dark Knight Lord Nightmon deck. So a lot of players don't know how this is going to go and stuff like that. It's really cool to see that Dark Nightmon is getting the TLC it loves. This Lord Nightmon, surprisingly, is really good because being able to on-play when Digivolving one of your Digimon gets plus 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn, and then one of your Digimon may attack a player. Really good for that aggression. It's got raid and everything like that, but all turns when this Digimon attack players, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You may play a 4 or lower black or red among them without paying the cost. Trash the rest. So again, you don't mind trashing because you get to use all your effects. The fact that we have this one in the deck as an option so that you can get into this Lord Nightmon for a cost of 5, which again is not terrible. You know, while you're at 3 or fewer security, you can just get your Tamer to evolve. But also, because of her end of turn, delete one of your other Digimon or Tamers with Nightmon Tex or CS trait. This Tamer may Digivolve into Lord Nightmon in your hand with the Digivolution cost reduced by 3. Which it said ignore Digivolution requirements because then all your Lord Nightmons would be very powerful. But I get where we're going with the CS lock. So, yeah, this Lord Nightmon plus Ray is just really good. But again, just being able to wall up because Nene gives your Digimon, you know, blocker and stuff like that. But also really nice is if you can give your opponent 1 memory and you can just do the end effect of Ray, pop the Nene because you'll, or even if you're at 2 memory, you know, you can pass the turn back because it becomes a 1 cost evolve with the Lord Nightmon, and then you just set up and just keep smacking them hard. So I mean, Fist of the Feet of Athena is really good. I mean, yeah, this thing just giving, you know, piercing a security attack 1 until the end of turn when an attack target changes. So this combos nicely with Lord Nightmon because, again, this now allows you to deal raid for big numbers and just be one of those stuff. You know, one of your opponents start a main, this Digimon attacks until the end of turn. And then, you know, being able to force them attack means that you get Lord Nightmon's effect here to proc. That means you get a Dark Nightmon to come out. You know, all great stuff that this deck wants to be naturally doing. Now, again, we do have the Leviamon deck. This one is focusing on the Gila engine. And again, this engine is literally, the reason why I'm showing you this is because you could literally play this as is. There's nothing wrong with it because, again, they already play Growlmon at 1 and the Gilamon at 1. So it's just, again, they're doing post ban list and it's still got first place. So again, I don't think this deck is dead. I think this deck just swapped over and this deck just becomes Snapdragon again. Having Dragomon being able to force your opponent to play something and then Levia coming out is always nasty. So at the end of the day, your opponents are going to have a bad time against this deck, really, at just having to deal with it. So hopefully this gives you a good idea that Levia's not dead. The Gila engine, I definitely said that the Gila engine will still top. Taking a look, Pulsemon doing some shenanigans. yeah, I mean, it is trying to do the Kazuchi plays, going to Takamazuchi, the BT-17 one. It just makes sense, right? You kind of expect this to happen, and I'm expecting it because this Takamazuchi was always more akin to the Kazuchi's ideologies. But again, they have the Fenri Luga. They can win without having to really Jagras, but, you know, it's just what they want to do. I'm kind of glad that, you know, Kazuchimon's getting some love. Sometimes this deck gets overlooked. At a local level, I think it does quite decent. Now we do have All Force. All Force being All Force as well is really fun. The problem comes down to the gate kept between this card and this card prevents you from actually playing the deck as you want. I'm surprised this wasn't announced as a reprint in, you know, LM the following set, but I kind of get it. They're probably going to put it in the reprint booster, or they're going to just give it a box hopper again. So not terrible. You do have Arena itself that is just going to give jamming. You know, this new one is a mem setter, so now you have a ways of getting stuff to go. And the fact that your Digimon can play one tamer really does help the deck out synergy wise. You're going to be still focusing on this All Force, using this as your main backup, but the Ace is a splashable target that, again, your opponent has to be ready for, that if they weren't predicting you having it, you know, on play, when Digimon activate one of the effects below, return one of your opponent's lowest level Digimon to the bottom of the deck, or you may play one 4-cost or lower blue tamer from your hand without paying its cost. When attacking, this Digimon may unsuspend. Again, 12k, swinging in, giving it blocker with this Arena, jamming with this Arena, you know, and then activating the when Digivolving effects is not terrible. This has a great backup synergy. So yeah, the deck has a lot going for it. The new Arrow Vigimon's still good. This guy, everyone still hates. They wish they could, you know, replace it, but the when attacking skill is just that powerful. So yeah. Now we're getting into Mugen. Mugen doing purple based shenanigans is always a treat to see, because you know you have Analog Man, you have Attack of the Heavy Mobile, Supreme Connection, Ultimate Connection, which again is hit or miss on what players want to be playing with. But again, all the good pieces are here. Just super aggressive, smacking your opponent in the face, making your opponent just have a bad time. The Ukumons, the Psychomon, and Foscomon are all great cards that you have to come to love. Now let's take a look at this real quick. Zoom out one more time. This is Numemon. Numemon taking that page, it seems like it just doesn't want to disappear off the format. It's starting to make a resurgent because, again, early aggression is still very powerful, but the top end is just scary. You know, you have Shadow Seraphi Ace, you have Medieval Gallant, you have Valkyremon. They're teching in Rapidmon. You know, they have Ruin Mode and Chaos Volderarm in the list. I mean, the fact that you have Platinum Numemon in the deck just makes it a lot more of a challenge because, again, with Platinum Nume, you can just set up, you know, once your Numemon dies, this thing is just a monstrosity to deal with. So yeah, I mean, being able to have it come in and gain you 2 memory is pretty decent. So just something to think about. This deck is doing some shenanigans, especially because you do use Etamon to kind of force them to attack. Now, Bloomlord doing Bloomlord shenanigans. No surprise here, just because Bloomlord is very powerful. Being able to pierce and hit big numbers means that Royal Knights decks, you don't really care as often. You do have access to, you know, Quantumon for the option heavy decks, and then you have Cherubimon Ace being a very powerful card. Access to Chaos Volderarm plus Imperial Digimon Paladin mode and Medieval Gallants. They are playing Lotusmon, which is very interesting. All your Digimon with traits get on deletion, gain 2 memory, return 1 Digimon with 3000 DP or less from trash. Okay, I kind of like that. I get it. If you're in a heavy swing in matchup, this card is actually quite nutty. I like it. Now, we do have Balfamon. I did mention this. So, Balfamon is nothing too out of the ordinary, right? you're still playing the same strategy that you have always done with the robots here that kind of just climb and defend themselves. Then you get into this. Once you pop them, you kind of just recycle and just do all that good stuff. Get into Balphamon. Balphamon's going to keep those attacks off by discarding your card hand. So yeah, that's just how that goes. Now, a Battle Core, just taking in the breather of the deck, right? A Battlemon is just very powerful. Again, especially if you can force your opponent to attack with the Edamon, you could have aces ready, and then boom, this card in cleans house. So again, all great stuff. I know Junk got hit, so this will probably just become a mem boost or something like that, but that does extremely well for what the tools it has, and it can be very powerful once a Battlemon comes out. Now we do have CS. This is one I wanted to talk about because they went with the Diaboromon plus Alphamon top end, which is not a bad call because it creates aggression that your opponent's just not gonna like. Alphamon being able to OT, like, deal a bunch of damage, Diaboromon having the ability of Alliance and being able to apply pressure there. So you have a great way between your top end to deal a lot of damage in a very quick amount of time. Now we do have, last but not least, Setcon, doing Setcon things with kind of like using Royal Knights as well. So they're kind of using a Royal Knight / Setcon list, which they're only on 2 purges. So that means this list could be functional if they just bring up Shoto one more time. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of scary having like Kentaurus plus Alphas, you know, Genkumon X, Omnimon. They're not even playing the other stuff because, again, your security is a threat and a half because you have Lonke Alistado, you have Chaos Degradation and Wyvern's Breath in your security that could lead to being very scary damage. So yeah, Setcon, I wasn't kind of expecting you to do things, but apparently we're just going into the Setcon lists. So yeah, Royal Setcon. Wasn't expecting this, and then all delete on here is crazy to me. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Do you approve these messages? But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.